Well, hello everybody and welcome to the advanced menu tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be taking on the lessons from the last video and expanding it so that you will end up having very advanced menu systems, including animations, as you can see right here, and then also pages. So you can actually go back into a previous menu, and then something called paged menu, which is going to give you a list of items which you can click and receive these eggs, plus also something called a menu container, which simply gives you the option to place things into, not here, but here, into selected spots and take them away. So now, as I mentioned in the last video, Bukkit does not really gives us a way to create these menus. So we're going to be using a library called the Foundation that makes it so simple, because in Bukkit, simply creating a basic item stack takes so many lines of code, let alone creating multi-paged menu. That would go absolutely bonkers, and you would have to spend 5 to 8 hours just having a basic setup. This library is the best menu libraries ever. We've been developing it for the last 7 years, I think, and over 1,000 people have been using it for now. So the way you're going to get Foundation is you jump over to GitHub, github.com/kankerko/foundation, or you can go to mineacademy.org/foundation, and this is going to redirect you into this very page. And then down here, it says quick start guide. So first of all, we need to import it using Maven. This is very simple. You simply copy the repositories right here, and you head over to your POM file, and then you simply place the repository into your repository section. That's step 1. Step 2 is you copy the dependency right here, and you place it below what we had previously, right? You place it right here, and then you change the version. So you change the version, it says replace with the latest version, and you change it with whatever is in the releases, 6.4.5 released 25 minutes ago. Awesome. So 6.4.5, and that's it, right? That's step number 1. Then step number 2 is we need to do some changes right here inside our main class. Instead of having Java plugin in Foundation, every plugin is simple plugin. There we go. And the reason for that is that we need to do some custom logic underneath to make sure to register these menus and everything, so that you don't have to do it. Just as we did GUI listener, well, now you can just delete the entire GUI listener because Foundation takes care of that for you automatically. So you can delete that. However, it's only this video that I'm going to be using Foundation. So in the next one, I'm not going to be using it. We're just going to be continuing using the basic spigot or paper API, just this video. So if you want to proceed using Foundation, you can delete GUI listener. Make sure also delete this line then. If you don't, then just watch this video to the end, and then in the next one, we're going to be proceeding normally. So that's one thing. Also, on enable is now called on plugin start, and on disable is called on plugin stop. That's it. That's all the changes. Now, when it comes to the actual GUI command, I can literally just comment out this entire thing because we don't have to do this, right? We don't need it, and you don't have to even set the metadata. Foundation takes care of this automatically. Now, to create a new menu class, we can just call it main menu, and we can extend the menu from org.mineacademy.fo.menu package. Very simple. Now, inside of this, what we can do, we can, oh my God. Okay. So the AI already knows some things, but I just want to give you guys a clean start. So you can create a new constructor, and inside the constructor, we can specify a couple of properties. First of all, I wanted to show you when we were dealing with these chests, right? People always get this wrong. They mess up these slot numbers. So if you want these slot numbers to be visible, you can debug this and you can set slot numbers visible, right? And this is going to simply print out 0, 1, 2, 3 in the game, which is really nice. Then you can do something called set title. And then you can simply use these colors instead of having the long chat color .gray, right? You can simply use these using the and letter and then the color. You can type in Minecraft formatting codes in the minecraft.fandom.com/wiki/formatting codes. And here you can see all these codes. Instead of using hashtag, you're just going to be using the symbol and for these colors. So you can use that. And this is the menu we'll make is simply called, I don't know, main menu. And then you can also set the size of the menu, right? And we can simply size it to 9 times 3. So 1, 2, 3 rows in the menu. Very simple. Now, when it comes to creating buttons, this is amazing because Foundation takes away all the boilerplate code, and you can literally just type in a button, import it, and then we're going to have 3 buttons. One is to open another menu for preferences. This is the one that we've made in the last video. The other one is to select monsters. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And the third one is to get items. This is the container menu, which you've seen in the intro of this video. So the first one, open, preferences, button. And there we go. I have now created these 3 buttons. We also need to position these buttons. There's 2 ways how to position a button, how to render a button. The first one is if you override the method getItemAdd, right? By default, this returns no item, which is simply null. Right? So you can either do that, or you can simply return null here, or no item, that means no item. And then you can simply say if slot equals to, I don't know, what was that, 11, I think. Then we can simply open preferences button. We can simply return the button, and then get item will simply convert it into an item stack, right? So you can do that, or that's the first way. The other way is you can use the position annotation, and you can simply put 11 right here, which is really nice. Or even better, this is what I recommend for newbies, you can simply use something called start. No, something called, what was that called? Yeah, it's actually start. There we go. Let me just display this like this. So start equals to start position center. And if you do that, we will automatically position the item in the center of the menu, being right here. And you can even specify the offset. So from the start, if you want to move the item right here, that is -1, -2, right? So the value is -2. And then the other item is going to be right here. So the offset is actually +2. And then the center item is just going to be in the center. And we can get rid of the getItemAdd, which is really nice, especially for beginners. Now, to implement these open preferences button, there is the basic way. You can simply create a new button like this one, and then you have the logic when the button is clicked, right? So you can do these things such as clearing the inventory, and then you can get the item right here. And this is where it gets interesting. So basically, before in the GUI command, this is our item, right? Get diamond button. So this is pretty verbose. Is there a better way? Sure. So instead of having all that, you can simply call something called item creator from the Mind Academy Foundation package off, and check this out. Boom, magic. There we go. So you can simply type in the material class. In Foundation, we have a copy for compatibility reasons, so you can call comp material instead. And then you can simply give it a nice name, which is exactly as you do right here, right? So I simply gave it open preferences. You can even use bold right here. And then the lore is right below. And you can even make it glow using glow true. So you don't have to deal with, you know, enchantments and hiding them anymore. And you can even use all of these other things, including very cool stuff such as skulls or model data or NBT tags, right? If you are advanced, if you know what I'm talking about. If not, maybe I make a video for NBT tags. So we can get rid of all that, right? And that's it. That's how you create a button. However, there's even a simpler way. If you have another class, we'll just call it a private class, and I just create a new class. Basically, this one will handle the logic in another menu, the one that is displayed when I click on this icon. If I click on open preferences, this menu will be loaded. And if you also want the return back icon, you can simply put this main menu .this, which will refer to this instance of the main menu instance, into the super, which will then automatically create the doors right here, which you might have seen in the beginning of this video. If I open up the menu, it will give us the option to go back into the parent class. Now, obviously, the doors are fully changeable, and you can simply call button return back set lore, set material, set title in your on plugin start. Where is that method? In your main plugin start, if you want to change the doors to something else, comp material arrow, for example, right? So you can do that. I don't do that because I just like having doors there. I just got used to that. So this is how to create another menu, and then obviously you can just have another logic in that class as well. Now, when it comes to opening another menu, when it comes to opening any menu in Foundation, you can either do new preferences menu that display to player, and inside the GUI command right here, we have disabled all of that old logic, so we can now call new main menu dot display to player. Right, so that's one way, and this is really good. However, Foundation takes it one step further. So if you want to open a preferences menu from clicking a button, there's actually a helper called button menu that will take in a menu, or even just the menu class, and then the item creator itself. So what we can do, we can simply do something like this, right? We can simply create a new preferences menu directly in when you're opening the button menu. And then we have the item creator right here. And I don't know if we possibly added this. Yeah, so we've added even a way how to create a new material, how to create a new button without creating this thing. So you can delete this as well. And this is very fancy. This is very, very quick way how to create a button that will open up another menu. Let me implement the rest of them. And there we go. I just duplicated it. And as you can see, it is so easy. In Bukkit, it will take you like 50 lines of code. Here, it literally takes us 4 lines of code. So we have these buttons implemented. Let's go and let's implement the logic in the preferences menu as well. So here I've simply added 2 buttons, and I want these buttons to be displayed like this one. So in the center, -1, +1, as you can see, center, -1, +1. And then when I click the clear inventory button, it'll simply open up a new button. Get item will simply load the item creator, as you've seen previously. Now, if you use .make, it's going to convert it into an item stack, which is handy for Bukkit. And then when I click it, I'll simply want to clear my own inventory. This is very similar to what we've done in the previous video. Now, when it comes to the other item, it's called refill health button. When I click it, it's going to set the health to maximum. And the item simply says it's a golden apple, right? The name is refill health. It'll even display your current health. And you can use something called getViewer. If you don't have the player available, you can use getViewer. This will return the current viewer of the menu for the current viewer. This is individual for each player. And you can use math to round the health, because in Bukkit, the health is a double. So we can round it into a full number, and then click to refill, and then convert it into an item stack. Now, what happens if I click it? It'll still say the old health. So we have to do something called restart menu. And if you call restart menu, it'll simply redraw all of these slots, and I'll simply recall all of that logic so that you can then display the current status. This line will get updated, which is really handy. And guys, you've also wanted, for some reason, animations. So the way you create animations is you simply can override on post display, I think, for the player. And here's an animate method, which is really cool. So what it takes, it works very similarly to the timed tasks. If you haven't watched my video on timed tasks, please do so now, because this one will simply create an internal Bukkit runnable, and we can reload it every second to refresh the menu, and then we can create a new menu runnable from Foundation, which will work as follows. So when it runs, I'll simply set the item, and the slot can be anything. It can be, I don't know, it can even be the center slot. Get center slot. And then here, it'll simply take in an item creator of com material, say red wool. However, we want to simply create a toggle. So inside the anonymous class in Java, you can simply create a toggle, and then you can just switch between these two states. This is just a very primitive demo so that you see that it works, right? And then we can simply check if the toggle is true, set it to red. However, if it's not true, we can set it to blue wool, right? And then we can simply switch to the other state, and then of course turn it into an item stack as the set item method needs. There we go. That's really it. Now let me hop into the game and let me show you what this will do. And of course, before I hop into the game, I forgot to say that these two are not available. We didn't create these two classes yet, so I can just open the same menu 3 times for dummy purposes. And if I open up GUI right now, it'll say the following: open preferences, select map X, and then get items. You can also see these slots so you always know which slot is which. Obviously, after debugging, just delete the set slot number visible line, right? And Foundation also protects the menu, so I can't do anything. I can't, well, I can throw items from my bottom inventory, but I can't throw items from my upper menu inventory. And I can't right click, I can't shift click. It is fully protected. If I open up preferences, now it will animate it. And now it says refill health 32, and I click it, it says refilled health, and it is now 40. Now also make sure to change this color from light to dark green so it is more visible. And then if you want to clear the inventory, just click it right like this one, and it will clear the inventory. You can also see the return icon right here. You can return back to this menu. Foundation also has something called help. So basically, if you're coding a public plugin, there is something called get info right here. And here, what you can do, Apple, and then click Bukkit. So what you can do, you can simply return a new list of strings as a string array, and this will then show in the corner like this. There we go, magic happened. I reloaded the plugin. Now it says menu information right here, and this icon is protected. This is just a handy feature for plugin authors so that you can document your menus for public use, right? And this is how it works. You can of course change the info button position. If you override this method, this is going to return a slot position, and you can also return button position. You can also change the doors position so that you can flip these two if you want to, right? Just override these two methods, just like that. Okay, so that is it for the preferences menu. The next menu is called select mobx menu. Now, when you're coding this, you gonna not want to use the menu class because, as I mentioned, this will be a page. We have something called menu page in Foundation, and this needs to take in the item that we want to paginate. So I just want to paginate entity type, just like this one. And then inside our constructor, what it needs to have, the super, it needs to have obviously the parent menu, if you want to have that, and it needs to have the items right here. So there's two ways how you can load these items. You can either create a public static list entity type load items, and you can create just a new array list like this one in Java. So you can call that, right? Or if you're advanced, you can do something like this. So arrays as list entity type values, and then you can just convert it into a string. You can filter that. So if type is spawnable and alive, and then you can collect it. There we go. There we go. Hopefully that all works. You can collect it, and this is wrong. Let me just look at the code right here. You can use the two-list collector. So this one is basically just a Lambda Java 8+ way on how to convert all of the entity types that exist, and then delete those that are not alive, not spawnable, because remember, if I open up this one, we have something called dropped item or experience orb, and you cannot really get spawning X for these entity types in Minecraft, so we can filter them out and then simply convert them back into a list. So that's the other way how you can do this. And obviously in this menu, you can simply set the title, you can set the size as well. If you don't select the size, we will try to auto calculate it depending on the entity types. And if there is more than what fits, we'll simply cap it at, say, 6 rows. However, I want to cap it at 5 rows, for example, or even 4 rows, just to show you how that's going to work. And also paged methods, paged menus require two methods that you need to implement. The first one is convert the iterated type. So this is the item into an item stack. And for that, we actually have a method called ofEq, like this one. And we can even use the custom item util class bountify capitalized, just like this one. And sorry guys if I'm going a little too fast. So basically you can use the item creator class to convert the entity type into an item stack, right? You already know how to use that basic basic way. However, there is one more thing that I wanted to add, because these entity types are called like this, XPOR, right? So if you call item util from foundation.bountify capitalized, it's going to convert this into something like this, which is just going to make it look nicer, right? So that's why I'm calling this right here, and then make right here. You can also set the lore, click to obtain the egg, just like this one. There we go. There we go. And then when I click the page, I want to get the item, and then give to the player. There we go. Okay, so I want to get the egg as in vanilla without this lore and these names, and I just want to give it to the player. Are you ready? Let's test it. Before we do, we have to make sure to open up the right menu, because here we've changed it to the dummy menu. Let's go. Okay guys, if I open up the select mob eggs, I've actually had to delete the set size button because that was not working for this Minecraft version. I'm gonna patch this after this video, but for now, just don't use it. It's going to auto calculate the size. And it says select mob eggs. It even adds the page out of the amount of pages, and it even creates pagination for you. So Foundation takes care of all of that for you automatically, and you can now simply navigate between these two. And if I click it, we're going to be given these. And if I go back, we're back in the main menu, and now you can clear the inventory again. So very handy how that works, right? It even remembers the last page. Really, really handy. Now, if you want to change these two buttons, this is one of the most common questions, just override the method called form next button, right? And you can open up the super, you can open up the source code, download sources in Foundation. And if you download sources, you can simply copy the logic into here, and then you can obviously just just change these things. Or you can even go into menu page and then set active page button material if you don't want to override the entire thing. So you can either do that, or you can override these two methods. There's obviously also get next and previous button positions, which you can override if you want these buttons right here to be displayed anywhere else. Just be careful, because otherwise these will be overridden by the items displayed in the other rows, right? So you have to do some manual logic if you want to. However, if you don't want to, Foundation takes care of everything for you automatically. And that's about it. Now let's go in and let's implement the third class called get items menu. And that one is going to actually extend something called menu container, which is a third way how to create menus. Oops. And yeah, in the super constructor, we simply parse in the parent class. We set the size to, say, I don't know, we can just set the size to two rows for now, and then set a title. However, these container menus, they need to implement two items, and this works similarly to these two. However, instead of on page click, which is still here, you can still do this, just implement on page, on button click, or on item click right here, right? So you can do that. We have get drop. Now, get drop and on menu close is intended for you to use if you're using databases or config. So how that will work, typically, I open up this container and I can put items in it. And when I save the container, it's going to give me a map. And don't worry about this strictness right here. This is just the basic map, just a little bit more strict. And this is the slot, and this is the item. So if I go and I go inside this menu and I return, it will scan the first two slots. Remember, it ignores the bottom row, and it's going to return this item with its slot and this item with its slot. So you can actually do custom logic and then save items to your config or database. And I covered configs in one of my videos on this channel. Now, when it comes to loading, you can simply call get config, get item at the given slot, and then load it there. Or for now, we can simply do if the slot is below the first row, we can simply call off, I don't know, we can even do potion, right? So we can do potion effect type, say, invisibility. There we go. Right, so we can just give players, I don't know, infinite potions. However, if we are right here at the bottom slot, we'll simply return no item. Right, very simple. Now, there's also one more thing. We're not going to be able to take these potions because remember, all menus are protected. So you can call isActionAllowed right here. And you can simply call return if the slot is less than the first row. So if I'm clicking right here, because the menu is only going to have 2 rows, remember the set size is 2. So this row is unprotected and the other row is protected. That's why we have it. By the way, this method is action allowed. You can actually have it in all of your menus. In the page menu, you can have it even in the basic, in this very first menu. So this one is pretty much up to you, right? Foundation is very, very flexible in this. All right, great. Let me go into the game and let me see what this will do. Before we jump into it, let me just change the preferences menu to get items menu and let's do it. Alrighty guys, now if I go and I open up get items and I can actually just take away these items. However, okay, great. So that one is a bug because I was supposed to say less or equal because remember, remember this goes from 0 to 8, right? So even I make this mistake all the time, 0 to 8, and then 9 is a protected slot. So this is the fixed code, right? And then you can't really place items into these slots. These are protected. And also Foundation protects you from shift clicking, even on the slots which you can take. You can't really just shift click right here because of some duplication exploits in other menu libraries, which is completely disable that feature. I know it can get a bit annoying because you have to manually click, but it's better to be saved than duped, as I say. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Now, also make sure to take note to this. If I open up the menu again, it'll simply spawn these items again because there is no database, right? It'll simply open up and generate these drops every single time I open this menu, right? So just be mindful of that. If you don't want this, obviously you need to implement custom database here. If you enjoyed this video, we actually have more. We actually have a full-length menu training in Project Orient because I know that YouTube is very, very limited. We have limited time. There's no support. I cannot do live calls with you. I can do live streams, but you cannot really share your screen, etc. So if you want to learn more, check the link to something called Project Orient in the description below. And we have the full intro to menus, 32 minutes long. Then we have foundation menus, 43 minutes long. Then we have even more advanced menus because there is 2 levels to this. There is container and there's container chances that I did not cover. And you can also implement something called menu quantitable, right? This is if you want to change the quantities. If I want to right click or left click and increase or decrease quantities of the menu. So I'm going to cover this in the course in full length. And also there's something called config menus. This is how to program your plugin from config to open up different menus. If you want to create plugins like deluxe menus and stuff like that, this is exactly how to do it. Again, very long video, 30 minutes long. So overall, you got everything you need. Project Orient is a 7 weeks long course. It's very, very advanced. Let me actually show you the full curriculum. So week 1, behind the curtains of plugins, you can just pause this video and you can, I don't have to read all of that for you. Week 2, this is where the magic happens with the menus. Week 3, really nice. We have a lot of cool stuff, including bungee cords and Discord. And then week 4, custom mobs and these very advanced things. Week 5, projects vault. And then week 6, mini games. People always request them. And then week 7 is, this is week 6, sorry. And then week 7 is how to sell your plugins. And then there's even a bonus, which I'm not going to cover, obviously. So this is it. If you want to check it out, go do yourself the favor. Click the link in the description below. There's a full 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, I owe you nothing. And there's me twice per week sitting and helping you guys live on a live call where you can actually unmute yourself and share your code for a review, which you can't do for any other school out there. This is unique to Project Orient. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you and take care.